Welcome to This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon. Listen in as him and other members of the J Harmon Home Team speak about all things real estate with local experts here in the Middle Tennessee area. Be sure to check out jharmonhometeam.com for more information and how to get in touch with our amazing team. Welcome to the show.
Good Monday morning, everybody. It's Jonathan Harmon with J Harmon Home Team, powered by Keller Williams. And it is This Week in Real Estate. And you can see I'm doing like what would this have been? Maybe fourth grade, fifth grade kickball, right? Ghost man in the guest seat. So
yes, Ghost Man in the guest seat.
Ghost man in the guest seat. I've got producer Trent back here behind the microphone. He's actually going to tag out here in just a little bit and switch over to producer Tom. So anyway, it's just an interesting day. I think what's going on is it is stunningly beautiful outside, Trent.
I'm trying to get out there.
I know you are, and I want you to get out there. So what we've got planned for today, we've got a fantastic rundown of some statistics. Sorry, I'm jotting a note down real quick. Some statistics that I want to go over as far as hang on, 3-year low. See, I'm giving you a preview. Some statistics about Rutherford County real estate and just kind of where we are, because that's always the question, probably the most important, most common question that I get as an experienced agent. I get so how's the market question. And, oftentimes I answer with the same word. I say, well, it's interesting right now, because that's not a lie. To me, it is very interesting to watch what happens as it happens and to kind of predict and then see if those predictions come true. I love talking to people that are smarter than me about this and hearing their ideas on what's going to happen and what they think is happening currently. And having taught economics and taken lots and lots and lots of classes, and then being in this industry that is truly one of the few remaining markets, like true markets, so to speak. It's always fun to predict and discuss, because ultimately it's human behavior. That's what the real estate market is. It's human behavior. It is thoughts and emotions and feelings with lots and lots of zeros and dollar signs. And I don't know. I find that fascinating to see how people react to different kinds of news, whether it's jobs reports or interest rates or those two things together, or election cycles. One of my favorite is to watch activity during election cycles. And you have these kind of anecdotes, these conversations. Well, I really want to see what happens after the election, because if such and such is elected, then I think that this is going to happen. But if such and such other person is elected, I think this is going to happen. And what's fascinating about that to me is that pretty much it has nothing to do with that. And so people latch on to whatever barometer it is that they think is going to do whatever they want to have happen in the market. And a lot of times any single one event is not what makes the market move. It's a conglomeration of all kinds of different things going on. That being said, we have had a major event over the last year that has absolutely impacted the overall market. And, there's a lot of things behind that, that being interest rates. There's a lot of things behind that we can get into the actual cause and effect. But the big story of the year, really, in the real estate world is interest rates. And we're going to do a lot of comparison today of this past March. That's the most recent summary statistics that I have, of course. This past March versus last March, being March of 2022. And it's just interesting to see the difference, because March of 2022 seems like forever ago, just based on activity. It's only a year ago, but the market was exceptionally different than it is right now. Rates started to have all these rumblings and some little bumps here and there, and inflation numbers were starting to come in, and people were starting to wring their hands a little bit and say, "Oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?" And then they really started to tick up in that May area. But simultaneously in March of last year, you had kind of this anticipation. We have it every spring where it's like, okay, do I go ahead and list right now, or do I wait until June or May or April? Kind of that, we call it the spring selling season, so to speak. And so there was some hesitation just naturally that happens seasonally every year. And then you start having this rumbling about interest rates. And then all of a sudden we're interest rates basically skipped the 4s, went straight into the 5s from the 3s. And the market just completely shifted. And it was really fascinating thing to watch. So we're going to dive right in. Trent, before we do that though, a couple things. One, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, did you have a good Easter?
Yes, it was awesome.
Good.
Master Sunday, a little extra Master Sunday. It was great.
Yeah, spent some time with the fam.
We did. Yep, did a little church and breakfast yesterday, and yeah, it was good.
Nice.
Then Master Sunday all day. It was great.
I'm sensing something that was really a defining moment for you yesterday, which was the Masters tournament.
I mean, it's like the Super Bowl of golf. So yeah.
Super Bowl of golf with no contact.
With no contact.
Yeah, right.
No contact.
If they had full contact golf, I might be more interested in it.
That would be crazy.
Yeah,
it's already hard enough.
you should have golf that kind of mixes with what was that Frisbee game?
Ultimate Frisbee?
No. Well, yes, but the one with the buckets and
Can Jam.
Can Jam. Yeah, you should be able to defend the hole.
Yes, dude.
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
That'd be so hard.
Yeah. So
how was yours, man? How was yours?
It was good. We've almost got a new Airbnb online.
Nice.
And so I did a little work there yesterday. And then Cedar Glade was open. So I went and got that place opened up. We had a little egg hunt within the tap room.
Nice.
But
that was fun.
Yeah, some coupons were hidden and a couple of our really cool koozies. And anyway, it was good. Let's hear from Bryan.
Yeah.
Our friend Bryan Nale over at Primis Mortgage, sponsor of all of these things.
Hey, my name is Bryan Nale. I'm a mortgage loan officer at Primis Bank Mortgage, and I want to tell you that I absolutely love being a member of the Spread the Positive Network. It's such a great mission, and it helps bring so much positivity to our community. It's a true pleasure to be part of. There are a lot of ways to navigate financing homes, and in markets like this, having the advice of a trusted local professional is key to making sure you get the right advice for your specific circumstances. Whether you're interested in the purchase of a new home, second home, or have a need for a refinance, I'd love to earn your trust. If I can help you nail your mortgage, call me at 615-243-3976 or visit nailyourmortgage.com, and I'll be happy to talk with you.
Primis Mortgage is a subsidiary of Primis Bank, a member FDIC, equal housing opportunity. As always, all loans are subject to approval. Primis Mortgage, NMLS number 1894879.
So vibey.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right, we're going to dive right in. You ready?
Yes, sir. I actually got to slide out.
Here we go. Tag team.
All right, tag team, I'm out.
Back again. Checked it, directed. Let's begin. No, wait, that's something else. All right, so let's start with activity, right? Real estate always starts with activity. What are people doing? Are they listing their house? Are they buying houses? Are they putting stuff pending? Are they closing on those houses? And that's always the story, right? So let's start with that because that's what drives price. That's what drives days on market. That's what drives all of our percentages, sales price to list price. Ultimately, it's what drives the supply of houses, price per square, all of the things that we have that we measure statistically. It all goes back to activity. So Rutherford County has been extremely blessed for a long time of having very high activity here in our greater regional market. People love Rutherford County. They like to move to Rutherford County, and they like the quality of life that they can get here. So when I'm going over these numbers, understand that if you're in another county, a surrounding county, they could be significantly worse. Now, some of the counties around us, Davidson, for example, has significantly more activity. They have a bigger population and are growing a bit faster than here. But Rutherford County's booming. So even when we're down, we're not down as much as other places. So kind of keep that in perspective. But let's start with some measurements here. So May of 2022, let's talk pending sales. So these are houses that had been listed that went pending and were pending during the month of May of 2022. That number was 9,115 houses. June of 2022, it dropped by just over 100. And then what's crazy is that's when the rate volatility really hit, okay? That's when we really started seeing those massive jumps in rates, to where July, we dropped by over 400 pending sales, okay? So we went from just over 9,000 to 8,600. And then that's a leading indicator, obviously, of closings. So if you don't have a pending sale, you're not going to have a closing. So closings in May of 2022 were at 8135. There was over 8,000 closings. It dropped to 8121, so dropped by a little bit. And then July, it went way down, 7917, and it just kept declining. And just so you know, that number of closings since June of 2022 has declined every single month. We've not had a bump up at all. Now, the amount that it's declined has changed. For example, between October and November, it changed by over 300. From November to December, it changed by about 300. And then in comparison, February to March, it only changed by about 40. So it's starting to flatten out, and that's good. That means that we're stabilizing. That being said, March of 2023, we had 6,421 closings in Rutherford County. That is a 3-year and 3-month low. So the chart that I'm looking at right now goes back to January 1st of 2020, and 6,421 is the lowest number of closings that we've had in that span of time since January of 2020. Interestingly, the first, we keep setting record lows for that time frame. So May of 2020 was 7,269, and we went below that November of 2022, and every single month has been fewer closings. Pending sales very much mirrored the same thing, just go back a month. Like I said, it leads into the number of closings, but there is a little bit of light. So from February to right now, February to March, it was just about flat, only 10 pending sales off. So we are seeing that flatten out. We're seeing everybody kind of take a deep breath and adjust to this. And, you know, I've had lots of conversations. Tom's back behind the mic now. I've had lots of conversations with lenders and several others. We hit 7.5% interest rate in November, December. And since then, we bounced down and bounced back up. We've had a couple of days, very short time frames, where we've bounced into the upper fives, and then it'll bounce back up into the 7 flat or 6.75 or somewhere around there. And so we've kind of narrowed the bounce a little bit. So we're not bouncing quite as high and quite as low. We're kind of like if you think about a pendulum, it goes real far, and then not quite as far and not quite as far, and we're kind of in that. And I think people are just adjusting to the fact that we're not going to have 3% interest rates. I hesitate to say never again, but it's going to be a while, a long while, if it ever happens again, before we get down to that. And so when people can adjust to that, when they can get a piece with that, then they start making plans. They start adjusting their plans. They start looking at, okay, if that's what that is, and that means that it's going to cost me this much for a new house, and they come to grips with it, so to speak, and then they make a move. And I think that's where we are. I think a lot of folks paused in September, maybe even in August, and they said, let's just see what's going to happen. And when what they hoped would happen didn't happen, then they said, okay, well, let's look at spring. And if they were going to make a move in August, they're not going to wait much longer than spring. And I think we're seeing that. I think we're seeing that flatten out, and I think we're seeing people get back in the market. The flip side of that, the other part of that story, is the new listings. And what we see is the number of new listings for that same 3-year span was at its all-time low in April of 2022. So sellers kind of saw it coming a little bit ahead of time, and they stopped listing their houses. Okay. We had a little spike. That's also happens to be seasonally a low time, right? That's when it starts to pick up. We saw a little spike in July. We saw a little spike in August. Okay. And it's going up a little bit, drops back down in December, goes back up, and now it's back down. Again, this is all human behavior. I think that sellers are having a tougher time coming to grips with this situation because they're sitting there at 3%, 3.5% interest rate in their current house. If they are a current homeowner, they've got a ton of equity. They're seeing that prices are not dropping, which we'll go over that here in just a minute. They're not seeing prices drop off. And so they're thinking, how do I justify making a move when my payments are going to go up substantially because of my rate, and I may not actually get a ton more space, a ton more house for my money, and it's kind of one of those things. It's like playing a game of chicken. I'm not seeing the listings come on, but I'm also not putting my house out as a listing. So it's very interesting to watch that. And if you disagree with the logic behind it, I would love to hear your theory on why you think that is. Why we have a let's say meager number of new listings coming on. It is trending somewhat upward from April of 2022, but it's still not robust. And it's certainly nothing like what we saw in 2020 and 2021. Interestingly enough, though, we actually really declined number of new listings all the way from February of 2022 to that low February of 2020 to April of 2022. It's pretty interesting to see this one. It goes against what we thought because we're seeing prices go up and up and up. You would think that you would have more listings, and that's just not what happened. And now that prices are kind of flat, kind of stable, we're seeing an increase in the number of listings. So, for example, there were more new listings. These are houses coming on the market in October of 2022 than there was in October of 2021. It was actually up slightly. But activity overall was down. So, I don't know. Love to hear your thoughts on that. If you've got some theories, please share those in the comments. Okay, let's switch to what I think is one of the more fascinating stats on here. And look, this one's 100% meat and potatoes about real estate. And for some of you, I know it might be like watching paint dry. I get that. Poor Tom over here, bless his heart. He's like, man, there's a lot of numbers. There's a lot of crap that you're throwing out there. This, in my opinion, this kind of information is best shared in a one-on-one conversation over a mug of coffee or a pint of beer. So if you have interest in talking about this at some point and kind of going through it and really what I want to get to, and this is why I want to look at the pricing here in just a minute. The actual stats, the actual activity is interesting to some folks to listen to talk about, to hear. What it really comes down to, in my opinion, the real value is, what does it mean to me? What does it mean that I can do with my current house, with my current situation? What does it mean if I'm trying to buy my first house? What does it mean if I'm trying to make a move from state A to Middle Tennessee? What does it mean if I'm trying to move from Middle Tennessee to state B? That's what really matters. All this activity, all this behavior, all these different numbers, all this, interest rates, all of that. If you're staying put, it means absolutely nothing to you. It's only relevant in that you're interested in it. That's about it, right? All of the money, all of the good decision, bad decision happens when you actually decide to sell or buy, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. What's most important is, how does this affect my personal current situation? And I think that's what we got to get to. All right, let's talk pricing, because with this decrease in activity, generally speaking, normal economics would say that if you have fewer transactions like this and you want to have more transactions like this, you should see an overall decrease in pricing. And that is just plain not what happened. And I think there's several possible reasons why. One, you don't have one seller, right? So if I'm one seller, if I'm the only person that has this product for sale, a house, for example, or this ink pen, I'm the only one that sells this ink pen, and the only way I make more money is to either increase my price per pen or increase the number of sales that I make of this. Then it comes down to my philosophy. Well, I want to make more pens. Okay, I want to make more pens and sell more pens. Then the logical explanation or logical step for me is to drop the price a little bit, right? So if I drop the price by 2 cents per pen, I should sell X number more pens and produce more pens. It doesn't work like that in housing, because instead of having one seller, you've got each individual product unit is owned by its own unique seller. So oftentimes you have sellers that can be in denial. Well, prices should drop. I don't want to be the first one to drop my price, right? Or a buyer says, I don't want to pay that much for a house. Or a buyer says, I don't want that interest rate. Because even though we're independent, we're still looking at what everybody else is doing, and none of us wants to be the sucker. None of us wants to be the one that loses. None of us wants to pay this price for a house, feel good about it, and get this interest rate, and then talk to our next door neighbor who buys the next day, pays less for their house, and has a lower interest rate. None of us wants to be that guy. So what that does for a lot of folks is it creates fear. And fear very often creates indecision or inaction and a wait and see, right? And we establish some kind of benchmark that we're going to wait and see. We're going to see what happens with this little nugget of news, whatever it happens to be that is the most important in our own heads. And that's what we move forward with. When that happens, then we're going to do whatever the action is, okay? What that should do is, especially in a market like this, it should slowly but surely decrease pricing, because you still have sellers that have to sell, divorce, death, job relocation, whatever. And when you have sellers that have to sell, then they don't get the luxury of hesitating, right? And so in those situations, if you have significantly less activity on the buying side, but you still have to sell, you should start to see price decreases. And we just plain didn't. So let's go to, let's see here, sales price. So I'm clicking through some tabs here. I apologize for the delay. But sales price has been really interesting. So, you have average and medians, two different things that we talk about when you look through stats. I won't get into all the differences right now, but I like on the local stats like this, I like to look at the average, because that's where we can see any amount of movement. The median, for example, for us here in Rutherford County has literally been within $100 of each other since December of 2022, $419.9, and then it went to $420, and it stayed at $420. So median being that middle number, it just really hasn't changed. A lot of folks list at $419.9, they sell at $419.9, they agree to it, and that's very frequently a middle number. So let's look at the average, because this is where we can see micro differences in those numbers. What we see when we look at the average sales is that in August of 2022, we were at $433,138. Okay, that's the average price. So sum and then division of all the sales. And by the way, we're just looking at, in this case, we're looking at all property types. So single family, townhouse, condo, manufactured homes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I've put no filters on what we're looking at other than we're looking just in Rutherford County. December, that average was $453,767. So from October to December, we went up average-wise by almost $10,000, okay? What we see right now for the month of March, the average was $456,740. So we only went up by about $3,000 from December to March. So in that 4-month run, we only went up by that much. Now compare that to 2021 to 2022. So October of 21, 354. March of 22, 389. So significant jump during that time frame. Now, in all fairness, that is an abnormal jump, right? We saw 31% appreciation year over year for the last 2 years. That's abnormal, okay? What we have right now, March of 2023 to March of 2022, going backwards, we still see an appreciation of 17.1%. So we're still up by 17%. That's crazy, y'all. In a volatile rate market, we're still up 17%. So it's about half of the previous year's jump from March of 22 back to March of 21. 31% then, 17% in this time frame, with interest rates almost tripling. Like, that is crazy. So when we start talking, well, I guess double and a halving is what they did. Interest rates did. So when we start talking about, I hear this, I'm going to wait and see if prices are going to drop. We're in a bubble. This bubble is going to burst. Prices are going to drop. You know, I'm waiting for a foreclosure boom, whatever. We hear all these things. I hear all these things that are the causes, sources, whatever, of inaction on the buying side. It's not happening. Unless we see rates go even higher than 7.5%, it's just plain not happening. Now, perspective. We got a slight increase from December to March, okay, in average price. Going back, that is a very similar increase to what we saw January of 2020 to April of 2020. We saw a $5,000 average increase then, or increase in the average sales price in that time frame. So what I've been preaching, and several of my colleagues that are paying attention to this stuff, what we've been preaching is that we're not seeing a retraction per se. We're not seeing a bubble that has formed and is going to pop. What we're seeing is a normalization. What we're seeing is that rates going up as much as they did returned our market to something that looks a little more normal. Because the reality is, what we experienced through 21 and 22 and the very beginning of the end of 20 through 21 and through 22, what we saw was not normal. It is not normal to appreciate 31% in a year. It's extremely abnormal. And that is why the Federal Reserve, that's just in the housing sector, this was in all kinds of other industries as well. That is why the Federal Reserve has done what they've done to stem off inflation. That is inflation. So it's working. And we're seeing that flatten number. We want appreciation. We want boring numbers. We want to see 3, 4, 5, maybe 6% increases in a year's time frame. It's predictable, it's comfortable, it's something that people can plan on, and it's sustainable. And that's what we want, right? And that's what we're seeing. So that's a good thing. All right, now let's talk about this one. I actually wrote an email this morning. I do a Monday email out to people that are on my mailing list. If you're interested in joining that mailing list and getting this Monday email, it can be, honestly, it is whatever's on my mind on Monday mornings. Sometimes it's before coffee, so sometimes it's not even all that lucid. But anyway, today it was about this particular topic, and we'll go over this. Percent of the sales price to the original list price, and percent of the sales price to the current list price. And this was interesting because this really captures that idea that the market is based on perception, and the action within it is based on people's emotions. Okay, so here's what we found: percent of the original list price last year at this time. So this is in the month of March. So all the sales that happened in the month of March last year, the percent of list price was 102.4%. So what that means is if we listed it at $100,000 and we hit the average, then that house would sell at $102,400. Okay, so above list price, significantly above list price. This year, that was at 102%, not the 0.4. I'm coming back to that. This past March, it was at 100.1%. So we dropped by 1.9% as far as the percent to list price. So we're basically getting exactly what we list it for when it's currently listed and somebody writes a contract. Okay, the percent of original price last year was 102.4. This year it's 99.1%. So it dropped a bunch in a year's time. Why is that? Well, here's what I think is happening. Okay, I think we still have sellers that are listing houses a little bit too high. They're not coming back to the market. We still have buyers that look at that price and they say, well, I can't negotiate it down very far, or they're not trying, or they are trying and the seller's not taking it, one or the other, okay? And then we're getting that first price reduction, and that first price reduction is sparking instant activity. We're getting 100% of list price, not original list price, but 100% of list price when we get a contract agreed upon, okay? So it's sparking immediate activity off of that first price reduction, because we're also 99% of the original list price. So there's price reductions happening constantly. And then once it's reduced, that's when everybody's writing full price offers on the new list price. So it's almost like buyers are saying, I don't think that's your best price, but I'm also not willing to make an offer lower than your list price, which is, to me, a holdover of the behavior that happened during the 31% increase years. Very fascinating. The other thing that we saw, and this was also a really interesting thing, and I detailed this a little bit more in that email. The percent of original list price last year was 102.4. The percent of list price was 102. So if people were writing contracts without price reduction, how is the percent of list price actually higher than the percent of original list price higher than the percent of list price? And I think we had two reasons for that. One, what happens is I list a new construction house at the time that we put a foundation in the ground. Then we start building on top of this foundation. And last year we saw, almost monthly, you would see increases in materials. So a new construction house would get listed, and then a month later it would actually go up in price. And people don't typically write contracts on a new construction house until they can physically walk through the house. So by the time it's framed, the price has gone up. If they had written when it was just a foundation, they would have got it cheaper. But once it's framed, price goes up, then they write a contract on it. The other thing that we saw is when we were getting contracts or offers that were agreeing on contracts that were above list price, there were some agents that would actually go in and bump their list price up to whatever that contract was. To me, that's not an accurate representation of what happened. What actually happened is this $100,000 listing, that didn't happen, by the way, but just for argument's sake, this $100,000 listing, we got a contract at 105, so I go in and immediately change the price to 105, so it looks like we got 100% of our list price. And hopefully I'm going to trick that appraiser into thinking that we're not trying to go above list price. Well, that happens some. And again, I think that these numbers that we're talking about are probably skewed by some of that activity, which I don't love that. But anyway, it happened. Now, let's go back. So remember, we're getting under contract at 100% of list price, but only 99% of original list price. So now what we're seeing is people are listing it here, they're dropping it, and then they're immediately getting that. And I've seen this. I've had multiple offers on my last, 4 listings, but we're pricing it correctly. So what does this mean to everybody? What this means is that the price absolutely drives activity, and that miniature, slight variations, just small movements on pricing sparks activity, okay? So let's say that we list your house at $500,000 and we have crickets chirping. Nobody's coming in, okay? It doesn't necessarily, sometimes it does, right? Maybe we're way too high, hopefully not. But sometimes it just takes a little bit of movement down maybe even only $10,000. Maybe it's $25,000. I don't know. We'd have to read the specific scenario for your particular circumstance. But a small movement down can all of a sudden yield massive activity, and we're going to get what we moved it down to. Now, does it mean that we have to plan on a price reduction? No, because we're also only seeing days on market is only up by 10 days on market. So it's not like these houses are sitting for 2, 3, 4 months sometimes. Sometimes they are, right, if we don't move it enough. So I think what it does is it brings back to the forefront that accurate pricing, predictive pricing, and intelligent pricing is absolutely the key in our market right now. If the house is priced correctly and presented well, it's going to sell, and it's going to sell at whatever you list it, okay? But if it doesn't, if you miss by a little bit, and sometimes it's just a little bit, quick action is your friend, right? Be realistic, okay? Our average days on market right now is sitting at 18 days. So if your house goes to that 30-day mark, you're way above average. And if you're way above average, then that pricing is going to suffer even more because people are still looking at a house that's listed for 30 days going, wonder what's wrong with it, which is crazy, but it's where we are. So anyway, that's my spiel. That's the long version of So How's the Market. Hope you found it useful. If you have a particular circumstance of your own that you'd like to discuss, if you want to kind of see how you fit into all of these numbers, I would love to talk to you. If you want to talk rates and purchasing power, that kind of thing, definitely give my guy Bryan a call and let him talk through that with you. If you want to really nerd out a little bit, then call both of us, and you and me and him can all get together and sit down and bounce all the numbers off of each other. It's so much fun to do that. But definitely bring coffee. I guess that's it. Tom, you got anything over there, buddy? Anything going on in Tom's world right now?
Not really.
Not really?
No, just, doing all things spread the positive and, creating content for amazing companies like Keller Williams.
Yeah.
And the J Harmon Home Team.
Yeah. So To the Moon Creative, spread the positive. There's this beautiful little thing kind of blossomed there, and Tom's got a fantastic studio, just kind of catching you guys up on some stuff, and brings a ton of knowledge. And what's really cool is there's some cool stuff happening, some new offerings that are happening between To the Moon and Spread the Positive. That if you've got a small business, or if you've got a large business for that matter, and you're struggling a little bit with content creation, content placement, things like that, that is an area that Spread the Positive and To the Moon are going to be able to really, really help some folks out on, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything from short form content to interview style things. A new thing we're doing now in the process with a couple of agents is actually talking with a few about going to some of their bigger listings and doing these like walkthrough tours, and where they can essentially just have this video of a beautiful walkthrough that they can email a client and go, look at this kitchen and look at this amazing view and all those kind of things, and we could film that in high quality up to 4K, and kind of change the game on hopefully how people are going about doing things, much higher quality than just that of whipping out a cell phone.
That's right. Have you seen some of the really high end listings? I haven't seen it too much in our area, maybe a little bit, but you see it in some of the multi-million-dollar listings where they do the vignette tours. Have you seen that? The livability videos.
I've seen a few of them. Yeah.
Some of them are pretty cheesy, but they're good. Like, beautiful family opens the door and comes in and pours himself a drink at the wet bar or whatever. You know what I mean? Anyway, I think those are cool. That's a life goal. One day I'm going to do a vignette video for one of my listings.
There you go. Well, you know how to find us. You could contact us at spreadthepositive.net. You can give us an email, follow us on social media. Also follow at TTM Creative, which is essentially just our production side of things, all things Spread the Positive. So Yeah, we're happy to help tell the story, whether it's a story of a house, you want to sell a car, you want to just talk about your business, talk about whatever your passion is. We're here to help you tell that story, and not just tell the story, but show the story. I don't know about you, but one of the things I looked forward to most, even as a child, was show and tell.
Yes.
And anyone could tell a story, but you know what? If you could tell it in high quality, multi-camera, and in a way that's short form, easy to share on all platforms, on all cell phones, all devices, that's there's something about that. And to me, especially if you're a professional, you should go for the highest quality you can get.
Well, what you don't want to do is have the delivery method obscure the message, right? And that's what when I started doing table talk, however long ago it was, the quality obscured the message. So, and I really can't stress that enough. Like, that's what you don't want to do, is have a phenomenal story, have a great message to share, but people can't watch it or can't listen to it because the quality is so bad.
Oh yeah. And on top of that too, I think the one of the misnomers about what we do here, as far as being a content creator is, people think they have to have this fully formed idea and they can come in and tell us exactly. And the truth is, one of the things that we with To the Moon Creative, that's why we have the word creative in this, is that not everyone has a creative mind. Not everyone can see the vision. So it's just like a chef. It's like, if you go to a grocery store, there's pieces and parts everywhere. You don't know where to start. So if you come in, basically what we are is, imagine you walked into a grocery store and you're like, hey, I want to make, creme brulee. Great. We know exactly how to make creme brulee. Come with us. We're going to buy all the ingredients. We're going to show you how those ingredients all put together. And we're going to make a creme brulee that is with you, that is going to be hopefully way more and better than you ever imagined. And it's going to be your version of it.
That's it.
So that's what we do. And, that's, you get creative direction, and on top of that, you have a team. And that's one of the other reasons why, like, when I started TTM Creative was, we have if you look at our little logo, we have a little rocket ship. It's like, well, we have the rocket ship. You want to go on this journey? We have the rocket ship. We have the flight crew. Jump in the pilot seat, man. We're going to take you there. So
yeah, and for a lot of folks, they have the idea, but they don't even know what is possible. You hear this sometimes. They don't know what they don't know, and so they don't know what we even could do with it, right? And man, one little brainstorming session with Trent and Tom, and all of a sudden, you're going to be excited about your idea. You're going to be excited about sharing your idea. You're going to be excited about getting sponsors to get on your rocket ship with you.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And if you've got that story bottled up, if you've got a passion, you've got something that you want to share, you kind of owe it to yourself to at least have a conversation with these guys.
Yeah. And the misnomer, again, and one of the other misnomers with the content creation field is, lots of people think to themselves, "Oh, I have a cell phone. I could do this myself." But
tried it, been there.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
And what they're missing out on, and they don't realize, like, especially with Spread the Positive, all the things we're doing together is, we have a team of people. We have literally, like, before we'll go on a shoot, we'll actually, we have 2 or 3 different social media gurus that we have partnered with that'll tell us, like, what's trending, what's right now, what's the average watch time on a 1-minute video. Should we target shorter videos? Is funny in? Is sexy in? Is serious in? What's in? Is these silly TikToks the way to go? And sometimes it's all of the above. You have a nice mix of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, it's like that. Again, that's what you're getting. You're getting expertise. You're getting the creative mind. And again, you're getting people who are all in, making you the absolute best content that you can. And, again, if you're a small business owner, if you're a real estate agent, how important what you do is. A lot of people don't realize how important the right real estate agent is. They don't realize how important the right mortgage guy is, because they know things you don't. They can do things you can't. And,
and when the crap hits the fan, they know what to do.
Exactly. And
or at least who to find out what to do from.
And that's just, again, that's all of what we bring to the table and more. And again, the greatest part about Spread the Positive, especially if you're a local business, is our connection level. I mean, this is so connected to the community, and one of the goals with Spread the Positive is to be able to, make this a network where, we have all our clients and all of our contacts just sort of knowing each other, helping each other, being, it's like a one hand washes the other, and we're helping facilitate that. And, creating lots of content, impacting communities, impacting nonprofits, and just, creating something really special beyond just a media company.
That's right.
And that's, I think that's the thing that's exciting about what we're doing these days is, it's not just coming and taking a video. It's building this huge community that, in the end will start getting some serious attention. So if the network starts getting attention, your business starts getting attention, we all know this, money follows attention.
That's right.
So if we all team up, we all, everyone's willing to invest in themselves, we'll have people investing in all of us. And it's a win-win for everybody.
That's it. Couldn't have said it better myself. All right. So if you've got an idea, let us know here at Spread the Positive. And if you've got a need for housing or mortgages or anything like that, let me know that as well.
And we're also starting a new division. It's a singing telegram division where Jonathan Harmon is going to show up at your house and sing to you whatever it might be. It could be happy birthday.
Yeah.
It could be congratulations on your new home. You've got a new baby. The best thing, we're actually running a special right now. If you want to break up with someone, you send Jonathan and he'll sing a very mean song to end that relationship for you.
No, actually, I just sing Freebird.
Exactly. If you send him to sing Freebird, they're going to break up with you. So it makes life easier. Totally kidding. Please do not contact us. This
dear
service
Lord,
does not
Tom,
exist.
No, it does not exist. Actually, there could be some legs to that. If I show up and sing at somebody, you're going to get dumped. Like, it's going to happen. Yeah. So if you're that passive aggressive, I don't want to break up with them, but I want them to break up with me.
Hence why there is no karaoke night at Cedar Glade Brews. Speaking of Cedar Glade Brews, tell us about that, Jonathan Harmon.
Man, it's going good. One of the more fun things. So last night, yesterday was Easter, but we were still open, and we had about 80 people in the tap room playing trivia. So if you are a trivia nerd, Sunday nights are your night. We have the best trivia in Rutherford County with John Boyce and Brainiac Trivia. It's interactive. You got like a buzz-in thing. You got TV screens everywhere. You got all kinds of fun stuff going on.
I want to bring up one thing since we're on the topic of Cedar Glade Brews. I think it's one. I mean, obviously they're a sponsor of this show. They're a big part of what Spread the Positive is making happen. But really cool story for me. Brief story. Is Trent and I actually sat down at a local business, Borough Business Labs. We sat there for a meeting, and they asked us if we wanted a beer, which kind of blew my mind. Never walked into a place for a business meeting and got offered a beer, especially at 11 o'clock in the morning. But hey, this is Tennessee. Let's go.
Let's do this.
They hand us these cans, and these cans were custom for the business.
That's it.
I was like, where did you get these? And I got to say, it was impressive to me that they had this custom brand of beer that had their logo, their name on it, and they got that from Cedar Glade Brews, and I never knew that was a thing, and I think that's an amazing tool to wow somebody, even to the fact that, like, if you're trying to impress a client, what if you had custom beers for your client, like this has your logo on it.
Yeah, that was a total fluke how that all evolved. Yeah. And, they maintain our website. They do some reputation management. They do several things for us on the content and digital presence side of things. And they work for beer. So, I mean, I've thrown that out multiple times to different folks and be like, hey, man, you willing to work for beer? And they said yes. And so it's been a fantastic partnership as far as that goes. We get some exposure through that. We get a great website, all of that kind of stuff, and then they've got this piece that they can use when they go and meet with new clients, or whether they go and meet with new clients or new clients come in or whatever. They've used some of it for some events that they've hosted where they kind of stockpile a little bit and and have that available. And yeah, it's been kind of awesome.
That might be a great idea. If you're the type of real estate agent who likes to give a little gift to your the buyer that you represented and congratulate him on the new home. How cool would it be to have custom made beer, with their maybe their picture of the little house on it and their name, congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Hadn't thought about that as a possibility, but yeah.
Oh yeah, the possibilities are endless. But I'm not really a real estate guy. I'm more of a of a creative mind. But at the end of the day, man, love what you guys are doing over there at Cedar Glade Brews. It's a really fun place. It's not your to me. It's not your typical brewery. It's definitely a beacon in the community. It's not one of those dark, dingy bars. It's this really well-lit, bright, fun place where, it's a local business. So, people should support that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Tom. All right. Have a fantastic rest of the week. We'll talk to you guys again real soon.